I don't usually do interviews in the evening. That's because I wake up really early in the morning. And by the time evening comes, well, my energy is pretty well drained. However, I'm always willing to work with a guest schedule. Welcome to Small Talk.
Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest today is the Regional Head of Sales, Western Canada at Loblaw Companies Limited. It's a long title. Time to meet Trevor O'Rourke. Welcome to the show, Trevor.
Thanks very much. Yeah, when you say the title, it sounds like my a lot of my friends' Starbucks order.
That's true. So now, first of all, is Loblaw like a parent company that owns a whole pile of other companies? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so Loblaws is something we're used to seeing here in Chilliwack is the superstore. We're familiar with that. The mobile shop is a division of Loblaws that sells cell phones, has all the carriers. Okay. And so that's more what I'm associated with. Although paycheck comes from Loblaws, I run the mobile shops across Western Canada.
Oh, okay. Run them now. What does that entail for you?
Well, I have 82 locations from Manitoba to BC, 6 district managers, and each store has a manager, sales staff, customer service staff, and running it would be achieving the financial goals, the customer service metrics, typical KPIs you would see in business day to day across Western Canada. And it's the success of this organization has been incredible. And I just stepped in 4 months ago because I worked for Bell, which is just one of the carriers for the last 15 years. So stepping into such a successful business is always challenging and exciting because you have to you got to grow every year. So
now, does your job entail traveling?
Lots of traveling, yeah.
Yeah,
so I actually just went to Winnipeg for the first time a month ago.
Oh, is that right, eh?
Yeah.
No.
Cold, and I've heard it's cold today too.
Oh my gosh, and I think it's cold here. So how did you get into that kind of work to begin with?
Quite by accident, actually. I think I fancied myself a graphic designer originally. I went to school right here at Fraser Valley and was going to start my own graphic design business. And as I was going to school, I ended up in a sales career. That led to leadership, and one thing led to another. And before you knew it, I'd gone way over this way into management and leadership. And I mean, I would say the passion I brought along from graphic design is my creative approach to leadership. Okay. I find it served me well, and definitely my love for communication.
I read that you went to university in Edinburgh.
Yes, I've taken some courses through University of Edinburgh, but not in Edinburgh. So that was more distance learning.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. I didn't understand that part. So now you live here in Chilliwack. Have you always lived here?
For most of my life, since I was 15. I've lived all over BC, and the reason why it was so easy to get into the online learning through University of Edinburgh, because I'm actually a Scottish citizen. So I'm a permanent resident, born in Scotland, moved to BC when I was very, very young. And I've lived all over BC and ended up in Chilliwack when I was 15. So it was just last year.
Yes, of course, right? No, okay. So no, you were going to go into graphic arts, as you said. Is that something you would still do if you had the opportunity?
I still do, actually. I have a little more for fun. And I think the artist in me struggled to imagine myself being told what to create and being paid for it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I ever reconciled that. So when I do some graphic design, I don't even like to accept any payment. I just do it for fun and help people out. They're starting up their businesses and whatnot. Certainly not like Tim McAlpine level, but
so obviously you know him. Okay.
Well, actually, he was my back when I was taking graphic design school. He was the example of what starting a graphic design business was right in school, like through the whole curriculum. So that was how I got introduced to the name, and
Oh,
I've always, from that graphic design, remember aspiring to be a designer. That was the guy we modeled ourselves after. So that was a long time ago.
is that right, eh? Well, how interesting
Yeah,
that is, I love that. And he's a very generous person.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
Well,
really.
we worked together. We've worked together for the last, I think we're on year 6 now in Tedx Chilliwack. So I've gone from speaker to coach to working with wherever I can help out and selection committee every year for the new
Wow.
speakers that are coming into Tedx Chilliwack. Actually, we just confirmed that we're more than likely going ahead for April 9th for our virtual Tedx conference this year.
Right, okay, good, because I volunteered in the past at TEDx, and that was kind of fun,
Yes, I think we've run into each other very quickly. Everybody was on the go, but I know I've met you very briefly before. So
Okay, good. That's it's so interesting because that's how I met him. Let's see now, who was it? Oh, never mind. My mind's gone blank, so I better not go there. I'll get the name wrong. But anyway, so because you travel so much, and now I believe you're a family man, right?
you betcha.
So how do you handle, how do you juggle all of that?
Well, the first time I had a role like this, it was actually during the Olympics with Bell, and the travel became so extensive. My kids back then were closer to, like grade school age, like 8 to 10. And I did find it very, very difficult to achieve that work-life balance. So that's why I quit that role and went back into a more local role. But they're 17 and almost 16 now. So it's actually been easier and a little more self-sufficient, but I do still pride myself on, as busy as I am, I spend a lot of time with my kids on their homework, especially at this tough age, them both being teenagers during COVID, just staying close, asking how they are. My son and I work out at the gym. I'm always, my daughter used to ride horses a lot, and I was always take her to practice and be there with her. And now it's more about helping her with her science projects and her homework, if I can. Anything but math.
I used to love math.
I never developed that love.
Yeah, it's interesting that what we're attracted to or what we enjoy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, when you have some downtime, I mean, other than spending it with your family, what are the things that you do? What are you interested in?
I have a pretty big library, Audible and physical books on coaching, communication, and leadership. I've done a few talks at BCIT, just, keynoted a couple of times, love doing that kind of stuff, or work with people that are aspiring to be speakers. Certainly do a lot of it at work. So I find myself practicing new methods or learning about new methods. And I do a little coaching on the side too, where room allows. So right now I have one client through a company I started a while ago called Speak Shop. And the purpose of that company was actually just to help people with their professional communication or just public speaking or whatever it may be. But it kind of just turned into a quasi executive coaching thing. So I'm just rolling with it.
Yeah, no, that's great though, because I'm just thinking about, it's like sometimes when I listen to maybe it's people on the news or whatever, and I think they need some coaching, speech coaching sometimes.
Yeah, I was listening to a sports broadcaster, and this person kept starting every line with and I found myself getting a little irritated. Like, you got to stop that. Like, you're saying great things, but you keep starting with that little hang up word.
Yeah. I do it myself. Like, I get into this point where I'm saying a lot and whatever, and I'm thinking, stop it. You used to go to Toastmasters. You learned not to do that. But
exactly.
Yeah, but it comes with nerves, I believe, when you're feeling a little bit nervous, right?
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously are well spoken. I'm just realizing too, because of your involvement with TEDx, and we probably know a lot of the same people. Oh my God.
It's now that you've said it, you're gonna keep hearing it over and over again. It took me years to become almost reflexively conscious of it, and it started with thwacking a rubber band on my wrist.
Was that right?
Yeah.
I got really good while I was at Toastmasters. And then when I was away for it, and after a while, I just got right back into the bad habit again. But when you do take any kind of coaching or whatever, you do become more aware, right? Of how
That's
I
right.
speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have the lineup already of people for TEDx?
Yeah, we're going through the process right now. We're looking at the same people that we selected and brought through the last time we were going to go live with the event, and COVID happened. So
Right.
that's still in progress and more to come.
Right. So hopefully by next year there will be in live, like not online.
I feel like every time anyone says that, you got to knock on wood, because I've been saying that for 2 years now. We have a lot of conferences at work, and many individuals, especially lately, have said, I miss the days where we would just get together for dinners or have these discussions over lunch. There's so much to be said about the presence you feel with another individual when you're speaking, and all of just the nonverbal cues that you don't even realize you're taking in.
Yeah. Even like interviews, that's another thing. Although Zoom has opened up a whole new world for me, and that's all thanks to COVID. Doing the interviews originally were all in person, right? And
yeah,
and I think about like musicians when they couldn't perform anymore, or if they did, it was behind the screen. It's this plexiglass, and I that even that was difficult for them. So I look forward to whenever we get through this, whatever it means. Now, speaking of that, now with you having to travel, how did that work with COVID restrictions or guidelines?
Well, it sure makes for a longer day, because you have to get to the airport as if you're traveling internationally, even on domestic flights. And the first time I traveled, so I had just started my role November 8th last year.
Okay.
We'll transitioned over to this company, which includes a lot more travel. And 2 weeks later, when I'm just getting ready for my first few trips across Western Canada, the floods happened. So the floods, as you know, closed most of the routes, even just to the Abbotsford airport.
Nice.
So I'll tell you, my first flight, I had to leave at 3 a.m. just to be sure I could catch my 7 a.m. flight. And I was there an hour and a half early. So some pretty long days, those first few flights, as I navigated around all the flooding that was happening.
Right.
But since then, it's been pretty standard. You check in, you got your COVID passport online, like with your WestJet app, and other than that, it's not that much different.
Oh, really good. That's good to hear. I just wonder how some people feel about being on a plane. You're still breathing all the same air, whether you're wearing a mask or not.
Well, that's the thing. You do have to wear a mask the entire time you're on the plane. And it's kind of like the verbal tick thing we were talking about. As soon as you remember, like, I'm wearing a mask, you almost feel claustrophobic for a second.
Yeah. Because
you're in this like pressurized tube with a mask on. It's already hard enough to breathe as it is. So you start panicking like, oh gosh. So that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm just thinking about when you say like that whole claustrophobic thing, because even that nowadays the planes, the seats are so close together, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Even who have short little legs still have trouble putting them there, finding space. So I imagine for a regular height person, whatever that is, anybody over 5'2", it must be really tough,
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you get tired there, or have you gotten tired of the traveling?
No, I feel like I've been a bit of what we call in the industry a road warrior since I was in my early 20s and used to it.
Wow.
The travel and the long days don't necessarily bother me, but at a hotel, there's something about the wrong pillow that drives me nuts. Like, I will toss and turn all night if that pillow is off. It's just a weird quirk I have.
Did you ever think of bringing your own?
It's not a bad idea. I don't know if it would fit in the carry-on.
Probably not. Maybe those blow-up pillows are not comfortable either, so you wouldn't want to go that route, I would think.
No, it's funny because I'm particular about the pillow, but I've never discovered what exactly is it about the damn pillow that I need. And if I did, I would have bought 10 by now. So it's just like, some nights it's right, some nights it's not.
Yeah, for sure. When your children, you're at, they're not babies anymore, but when they're off of school, with that period of time when they're not in school, do they ever travel with you when you're going to work?
They have in the past, short trips, like more, and we were actually just talking about that. So I'm I'm going to do a trip to Calgary probably in a couple of months when it gets a little bit warmer, and we'll just make it a road trip. I got a lot of places I got to stop work-wise on the way. So we'll get a couple of hotels and just make it a road trip and all go together. They've never been to Calgary. And if we time it right with the Calgary Stampede, my daughter is just such an animal lover and it just grew up around horses, cows, like she works on a dairy farm now.
Right.
Always been a dream to check out the Calgary Stampede. So
Nice. Now, when you make those stops on your route, what exactly do you do?
A variety of things depending on the what I know about the business that I'm visiting. So I try to do a little bit of research on the locations. So with 82 locations, obviously I'm not going to remember every little detail that's going on, but I will normally have something, a business opportunity that they're working on that I keep my eye out for. And then I'll just have a conversation and kind of watch how things are going in the store and jot down some observations and whatnot and make sure everything's running.
Do they know ahead of time that you're coming?
I mix it up. So I like to do about 60% surprise visits. That gives me the real bird's eye view of the business. And then other ones that I plan, I have more in-depth planned conversations that I pre-prepare them to get some information ready so that they can tell me a little bit about what's been going on in the last month or so.
Now, have you ever come up upon a situation where you were really, really pleased with what they're doing, with, how innovative they are or whatever it is?
Oh yeah, so many times. I love high-fiving and seeing stuff that I love and taking a few selfies together, celebrating. Like just here with a sales rep right now, and she's doing a great job. It's her first week and she's full of energy, loving it, because that just inspires them and they like that recognition. And you're sharing that with everybody on the internal social media network. They love it.
No,
and I love to do it. Like if I see it, I'll say it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Have you had the opposite happen? Were you?
Oh yeah. That's
disappointed?
praise publicly and correct privately, they say.
Oh, I like that. No, that's really good, right? Because nobody wants to be corrected in public, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of folks that are in that multi-regional role, like myself, I have district managers that look after their territory, and I remember I was in their role and I preferred it if my boss was visiting and they saw something, they just directly addressed it. And that's my style. Like I will just take the rep aside and say, we need to have a little chat. And it's not in a condescending way, but if it's something that's detrimental, they need to correct right away. We'll have that conversation right away.
Absolutely.
Rather than waiting later and then telling their district manager, who then says, hey, by the way, Trevor was here and he saw this, which almost like hurts the trust. Like, why didn't he just say something?
Yeah, for sure. I imagine it's still like nobody wants to be told they're not doing something right, of course. But like you said, if it's said in a proper way, in a good way, then it's more acceptable, right?
Yeah, I mean, I come back to some of the basics of coaching. If you're aware of what's expected and someone sees you doing something that's not expected, then you're not criticizing. You're just reminding them what you saw and then what the expectation is. They just got to get back up there.
Right. Well, I can't think of any other questions. I'm just going to ask you, but I don't want to hear the answer. As a coach, how did I do? Don't tell me on camera.
Am I being coached right now? See, that's pretty good then.
Anyway, I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. I know we had to schedule this in the evening because of your work, right? And so I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me. But just stay on cameras while I say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed listening to Trevor O'Rourke. I'm having trouble with my words nowadays, O'Rourke. I really enjoyed speaking with you because you're just a nice, clear speaker, which is always so enjoyable to listen to. Anyway, everybody, thank you. And hopefully you watch the show and keep on watching, and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.